Hello lovely lot, my name is Max and welcome back to my YouTube channel and another Nottingham Forest video. Yes ladies and gents, we are back with some more tactics and transfers, today talking about Nottingham Forest's third signing of the summer transfer window, Giulian Biancone, and why he'll be a great fit for this side for a fee in the region of around €5 million. We'll be discussing his background and his rise to Ligue 1 football last season, as well as how he was deployed for Troyes last season in that back five system, and also how we could use him at Nottingham Forest in our upcoming Premier League campaign. So of course, before we get into that, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, ringing that notification bell so you don't miss a single video on this channel. We recently surpassed 1,000 subscribers and I cannot thank you enough for helping me achieve that. By the time you're seeing this, I'll be working on a Q&A video to celebrate that milestone, so keep an eye for it in your sub boxes in the next couple of days. And with that being said, let's start talking about Giulian Biancone. Giulian Biancone was born in Fréjus on the French Riviera and joined the Academy of Monaco in 2015, a very prestigious academy that's turned out the likes of Kylian Mbappe and Thierry Henry over the last couple of decades. From here, we'd go on to make his debut for the first team in the Champions League against Atletico Madrid, a pretty tough tie if you ask me for your debut, before then spending 2 seasons out on loan in Belgium with Cercle Bruges, the sister club to Monaco. Here he would make around 50 first team appearances for the Belgian side over a 2-year campaign north of the border, scoring 2 league goals and finishing mid-table in both his full seasons in Belgium before joining French side Troyes last season for €2.5 million. And he would really impress in this move, finishing 15th in his full season in the north of France for a side who'd only recently just been promoted back to the top flight of French football, playing as a utility defender, featuring as a wing back, full back and primarily as a centre back over the course of the campaign. And this is, like I say, we probably collected the most of his minutes. Now, before getting into the stats, it is actually worth noting that one of his teammates last season was a player by the name of Issa Cabaret, a player on loan from Manchester City at Troyes, but a player who Nottingham Forest in the last couple of weeks have been really heavily linked to, someone who potentially could be added to the ranks. And I just think that's a really interesting caveat. 2 players who spent last season playing together obviously must know each other pretty well over the course of that season and playing on the same side of that defence and playing in very similar positions. So I do think that relationship could be important should both Cabaret and Biancone play for us next season. Back to Biancone, last season he was top of the Troyes side for both tackles and interceptions completed per 90 minutes with 2.9 and 2.8 respectively in that Troyes squad. And this combined really well with the amount of pressures that he was attempting, the top 15% of fullbacks for pressures attempted and the top 2% of centre backs for pressures attempted, with a success rate of around 33%, meaning 1 in 3 of his pressures were successful, which is pretty decent for a player of his position. For me, this suggests a player who is really good, aggressive and front-footed as a defender, but also someone who's a pretty good reader of the game at the same time. However, one thing he can fall foul to is being dribbled past by his opponent, and particularly playing out wide in a back 3. This could be a slight weakness in his game. In possession, he's also really comfortable bringing the ball out from the back, whether that's him playing as a full-back, a wing-back or a centre-back, completing around 4 progressive passes and 4 progressive carries per 90 minutes. By no means ranking him particularly highly amongst players in Europe this season, but considering he spent large swathes of it playing in 2 or 3 different positions over the course of it, I do think that ranks him pretty impressively and is a huge asset to have someone so comfortable bringing the ball out from the back, or certainly who backs himself being able to do that. Overall, Biancone is a really solid defender, very aggressive in the challenge and a pretty good reader of the game, registering pretty highly in that Troyes squad for interceptions. That being said, he is susceptible to being dribbled past pretty easily, particularly when he's playing in a wider defensive position, and this could be potentially exploited by some of the more pacey and tricky wingers in the Premier League next season. So definitely something worth considering when playing him in the Premier League next campaign. That being said though, he's a fantastic utility player, and at £5 million it doesn't seem like too bad of a deal. With that being said, let's see how he was deployed for Troyes last season during their 15th place finish in Ligue 1. Okay, so we're back at the tactics board, and I will admit this is probably going to be quite a brief section. My knowledge of Troyes is pretty limited. I probably couldn't even point to it on a map. That being said, from the research I have done, I have been able to construct a fairly beefy tactics section here. So as you can see in the blue here, Troyes have predominantly played in a back five system since coming back up to Ligue 1 last season. Biancone here is usually the right centre back in this system, although he's also comfortable coming out and playing on this right wing back position or in a more nominal back four. And also worth noting, Issa Cabaret is the man who plays here on that right wing back position. He's the man who we're quite heavily linked to at the moment, who was on loan from Man City last season at Troyes. Now defensively, Troyes will sit back into a pretty deep defensive structure, getting as many men behind the ball as possible as teams look to try and break them down, and they try and pick it up in the midfield and try and then transition on their opponents. Now, in terms of their pressing, Troyes were actually one of the lowest ranking pressing sides in Ligue 1 last season. I think they were second from bottom for passes allowed per defensive action. This is a great metric for determining the aggressiveness of the press of a side. Despite this, Biancone is very comfortable coming out and trying to step out and pressure the opposition into surrendering possession. He's a very front-footed defender who will step out from the back, either win the ball through tackles and interceptions. Now, whether that be stepping out from the back and winning the ball back through an interception or aggressively winning it back from, say, a winger or a wing back, he's very comfortable at then carrying the ball into the final third or into the midfield third as the team sort of peels forward on the counter-attack. He's very comfortable at bringing it forward and then releasing one of his teammates. It's definitely one of the best assets of his game. He's a very direct player when he receives possession, definitely always looking to get forward, whether that's through carrying the ball or through passing it forward through long passing. Another thing that's quite an interesting facet of his game is when he was playing at Cercle Bruges, he was very good at getting the ball in these sorts of areas of the pitch and getting balls into the back post from that position. A very deep, a good deep crosser is what I'm trying to say. Good at receiving the ball in these areas, getting the ball into the back stick maybe for a finish, and he did get a couple of assists doing that for Cercle Bruges, playing as either a right back or a wing back, and I think that showed whilst not the strongest going forward, there are some really good raw assets of a potential attacking fullback, although I think defensively probably where he's stronger. Now, in terms of Troyes last season and the way in which they were attacked, they were a very direct side. They were the fourth highest attacking speed side in Ligue 1 last season. They had the fourth highest attacking speed and put together the seventh least passes per attacking sequence last season. Now, what this suggests to me is that they are, like I say, a very direct side who look to get the ball forward at the quickest and earliest opportunity. And if you look at the kinds of players who Forest are either looking at or who have already signed this season, they tend to be for clubs who rank very highly for attacking speed and very lowly for passing sequence volume. If you look at Mainz and Union Berlin, obviously Niederkaite and Iwoni respectively, they are two teams who are very direct, very quick on the attack and put together very few passes in their attacking sequence. So you can definitely see the way in which Forest are trying to sign players this summer, and potentially it's a sneak peek to how Cooper wants us to play next season: direct, quick and vertical in transition. I really like the signing of Biancone. He's a front-footed, aggressive defender who's still fairly intelligent, pretty good at winning the ball through interceptions, and is pretty comfortable at bringing the ball out from the back as well. Also, having someone in general who can come on if you're winning a game pretty late into the game or trying to defend a point late in the game, who can come on at that right wing back position and lock that side of the pitch down. Someone who's got great recovery pace, solid in the tackle, and pretty much makes that right hand side pretty difficult for the opposition to attack, is very, very useful. Whilst he won't offer us too much going forward, having that defensive coverage and someone who is so versatile like he is hugely, hugely important. At 5 million quid, I think is a bit of a steal actually. Of course though, let me know in that comment section down below what you think of the deal to bring Biancone to the City Ground. Apologies to anybody who's French for my pronunciation of his name. My French GCSE hasn't got me very far thus far in life, and unfortunately in this video some of my pronunciations may have been slightly botched. That being said though, hopefully you did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel whilst you're down there, and of course let me know what you think of the signing of Giulian Biancone. And with that being said, thank you so much for watching, Reds. I will catch you later.